But tell me this isn't one of the biggest fights UFC can make. Tell me this isn't potentially the literal best matchup, meaning the two best fighters in the world in my pound-for-pound top 10. Yours might differ, going up against each other. It's the ultimate, hey, Ilia looks great, but let's find out if he's actually all-time great right now. Why would you not buckle up for this? Why would the UFC not throw themselves at this match?
You gotta tell me you wouldn't be interested in Ilia versus Islam. God, I mean, Islam is quite a bit bigger, but I feel like Ilia's skill level is just so high. Obviously, so is Islam. So that could be a potential super fight.
Honestly, Bilal killed my plan, you know?
Yeah.
We become like close friends. We have same manager. Nobody would know what's gonna be in the future, you know? I just have same dream.
Yeah.
I want to be double champ. I want to be like you know? Champ. How many? 11 times defend your belt.
You're on your way, man. You're on your way.
Yeah, sick. I think he's good enough to do it. But dude, Makhachev would be so hard for him though. Makhachev might be hard. I said that the Topuria is the best fighter in the UFC, which I think skill-wise he is, but I think Makhachev's too strong.
What's the issue with Islam?
I don't have anything personal with him. He's the world champion in the lightweight division. I want to move up the lightweight division. I want to face him. It's easier for me to weight cut. I already did it. I already fought at 155 in London against Jai Herbert. I want to do it once again for the world title.
I know Islam wants that second belt. If he does not go up and fight a guy like Bilal Muhammad, then you know what? You have to grant the opportunity and give it to Ilia Topuria. If Dana White is not freaking loving this, then there's something wrong with that. But that makes me even a bigger fan of Ilia Topuria because he's going after the most dangerous guy. I like it, Kamar, because you know what? He's chasing glory, and he's chasing a fight that people probably don't. That people do believe that he's a big underdog. Like he wants to reach against. No. I'm not talking about Charles Oliveira. I'm talking about Islam Makhachev. Like with Charles Oliveira, dude, I can see him maybe potentially getting that job done. Now with Islam Makhachev, because he's a bigger guy, he's got wrestling, and his hands are always up. He's got good defense, and he knows how to tactically fight people different. That's a different fight.
You throw this guy in there, you throw that guy in there. I don't care who it is. And I remember there was a moment where I was just like, yeah, bring Godzilla. Bring him, bring his nephews and his cousin. I don't care who it is. And Ilia Topuria has that right now. He does not care. And he believes in that conviction so much to where, hey, put up Conor, I'll put him to sleep. Put up Charles Oliveira, I'll put him to sleep. Put up Islam, I'll put him to sleep. Like he has that conviction. And hey, he's told us that twice now in these world title fights. And what did everyone do? Everyone went, I don't know. Volkanovski is a beast. You can't do that. He went out there and he did it. And then he goes, give me Max Holloway. And we're like, oh, I don't know. Max Holloway, the best boxer in the UFC. I don't know if you could do that. He went out there and did it. So him calling for a fight like this, I think the UFC does 100%. I think you give him what he wants. If he's not successful, because this is how you test him right here. If he's not successful, okay, then you let him know, hey, stay back down there and keep defending your belt.
It makes me think, honestly, that the fights to win the belt and then the fight to retain the belt were too big. So John Jones struggled with this a while back, right? When he was fighting me and Shad and all these big names. When he got to Anthony Smith and Thiago Silva and Dominic Reyes, he's like, it doesn't feel as exciting. I think for Topuria, he's like, I just beat the two greatest featherweights of the generation. Now I gotta fight Diego Lopez. Now I gotta fight Evloev. I just think that for him, it might feel like the challenges aren't as great as the ones he had to go through in order to become the champion.
You know, for Islam, there's a path to victory with him, and there's many, to be honest with you. The one that's the hardest to do and should not be advisable on my end would be boxing. You know, he's got great boxing. You know, like I said, he's got the best boxing, I believe, in the whole division. all divisions, not just one, all of them. So that would be an area I'd be foolish to want to, try to go up against boxing for boxing. That's not a smart move, and it just would be like if Ilia decided to go submission for submission with Islam. That's not a smart move on his part either. So it's all strategy, right? And how you approach it, how your fighter approaches it. And when the fight does get matched, it's just your game plan, your strategy on executing it,
If you're the UFC, think about it. You got a question to ask yourself. What is an effective use of your time promotionally? What is an effective use of Islam's time as a title holder and number one pound for pound guy? Like, who should this guy be fighting with the remaining time that he has left? It's not any other fighter on the roster. It's the number one guy. How about the number two guy? I mean, it just makes it so much more likely because A, this guy is selling it in Topuria. B, I would pick Islam to win, but on the feet, I do think Topuria could absolutely knock him out. And for all these other reasons, like with lightweight kind of being a mess, at 170, the door seems closed for now or whatever. Dude, I think the Topuria fight is a lot more likely than it once was.
They seem like they're working on that Topuria versus Islam fight at 155, and they're trying to make the Diego Lopez fight, I think, versus Volkanovski. So if that's the case, then we're going to see how that all plays out. But I mean, looks like they are going to make that fight happen. It'll be a fight at the International Fight Week.
Man, I think Ilia Topuria may be one of my favorite guys to watch stylistically. His poise, how he doesn't force things. I got this. I kind of had this epiphany, similar to what you were talking about, me just going out there and fighting like a bat out of hell. I try to win in wrestling, I wasn't good enough, so therefore I had to try to win by 1,000, had to just break you and had to just hopefully eke out a win at the end. And I realized I've tried to do that in my fight career where I try to win by 1,000 when really all I need to do is win by 1. I think Ilia does a really good job of trying to win by 1, not forcing anything, not getting outside of himself, not getting emotional, not pushing too hard, also not taking his foot off the gas too much. He's just right there in the middle until he lands the big knockout punch. I didn't think he was going to knock Max Holloway out, and he did. So I think he could catch Islam, but if that fight goes anything past 15 minutes, I think Islam beats him handedly just because Islam is a large 155er, and I don't think Ilia is that big for 145. But like I said, ton of respect for both of those guys, especially Ilia Topuria, because I've watched a lot of his fights and studied him, honestly.
Para mí, yo te lo digo, aunque parezca una pelea muy difícil, lo haría sufrir muchísimo a Islam, demasiado. Soy un tipo que tiene una preparación física impecable, que en el quinto asalto estoy igual que en el primero y represento una amenaza en cualquier segundo del combate, un estilo al que nunca jamás en la vida Islam se ha enfrentado ni jamás se va a enfrentar, a no ser que se enfrente a mí. Entonces yo por eso digo que es que ahora mismo no hay nadie que me pueda hacer sombra.
As a fan, I would rather see him rematch with Volk. I think he beats Volk, right? So you're going to get the payday. It's a big name. Volk deserves a rematch, blah, 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 blah. And after that going, all right, I'm moving on. But could he be champ at 55? The problem is Makhachev doesn't have a style that lends itself well to Topuria's skill set. He's not going to stand and trade with him that long. There isn't long before you're going for those rugged takedowns and you're taking on a much bigger guy, a guy with a really good gas tank. And if you haven't adjusted really well to 55, it's going to be a problem.
And people talk bad about, like, oh, he fight 2 times with Volkanovski, but the UFC pushed this fight, and this fight was good in first fight. But why Islam have to give 3 times chance for 145 champion? Why? It's not fair for 155 pounds.
Right,
but if he move up and he beat somebody like Charles Oliveira, of course, you know what I think?
Yeah,
I think he can beat him.
Yeah.